standing by.
Five, four, three, two, one. You are live, you are live.
Good afternoon, and you are most welcome to this, the Sunset Safari for WildEarth. My name is James Henry. On camera is Gendre. Well done, Gendre. That was very well timed indeed.
Thank you, James.
That is the last compliment you'll get all afternoon. You are on a live safari, like I say, here in the northeast corner of beautiful South Africa. We're in the Kruger National Park, an iconic wilderness area of the world, and we're on a little section of it called Djuma. On the far western side, west of us is Arathusa, where we also traverse, and east of us, just recently, we've added Cheetah Plains to our traversing area. We won't be going there today. There's a bit of a problem with the repeater, so the Russian Alex Rasputin Asimov, his surname is not Asimov, it's Wozniacki or something like that. It's very difficult to say. He's fixing it at the moment, never mind that. And on the other vehicle, we have got Sam Chevalier. He left something at home, that's okay. He's from Cape Town. He will probably forget 3 or 4 things at home per drive. We expect that from Cape Townians. And he's being filmed by 6'4" of Brian. In my ear is Rebecca, and tapping on the keys is Jerry in the final control. And most important part of the drive, of course, is you, sitting at home or hopefully at work while someone drones on in the boardroom in front of you. I hope you're kind of watching the drive on your phone or something like that. It's wonderful to have you along. Talk to us, tweet to us if you are in the boardroom. Send us an email, hashtag Safari Live, and Twitter, questions@wildearth.tv if you want to talk to us on the email. It is very nice to be with you. Just over here we have a herd of impala. Noticeably absent within that herd are the male impala. This is because the males now dislike each other a great deal. They are fighting for mating rights. And so where we had little mixed herds going into this time of the year, there are now single-sex herds with scatterings of males. And it is no coincidence that the last 2 leopard kills we've seen have been male impala. They forget about absolutely everything and think only of sex, and that results in death. And let that be a lesson to all men around the world. Think only of sex, it is bound to have bad results for you. Now, in the case of the impala, of course, they have been killed because they're not concentrating on vigilance. Their testosterone levels are coursing through their bodies. They've got massively high, elevated testosterone, and that means that they are looking only to fight with the other males and to herd the females. They are not watching out for predators, which of course they should be. It is 29 degrees Celsius, which puts us at roughly 84 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a lovely, lovely autumnal day, and autumnal for us, not so much for you in the northern hemisphere, where autumn normally means the beginning of the winter woolies. Here it's just actually quite pleasant, as opposed to the summer afternoons, where the only thing we wanted to do was lie in the shade and pant like a starling in the midst of a heavy goulart flutter. Let's carry on. The idea behind the drive today, everybody, is to do a general exploration. Like I say, we won't be going to Cheetah Plains this afternoon because the repeater is having a few teething problems. That's not unusual. It's entirely within the normality. So Alex is sorting that out, and while he's doing that, we're going to explore Djuma. No real tracks to follow up on from this morning, so we'll see what we can find. We'll probably check the waterholes first. There were some elephant herds around the place. It'd be quite nice to see if they are something to drink at the waterholes right now. Let's just ease past these impalas. Now what we can see here is that there are some males, of course. And the males, of course, are indicated by the tiny little spikes coming out of the top of their heads. Those are the young males, and their horns are just coming up. So they were born at the end of November, beginning of December. Oh, there's the herd male. You see him there, Gendre? He's in the middle there with his horns. This one is particularly clever. He's decided to stay in the middle of his ladies, so they will warn him of a coming danger. And he's also feeding up. Often, of course, these males do forget to even eat at this time of the year. So they lose condition, they get skinny, they get hungry. And he's watching that female. And she's just moving away from him and watching carefully. Now, if you don't hear me this afternoon, everyone, we're back onto the jigger system, which means there's a microphone at the front of the car. You can virtually tap me over the back of the head via the final control, and I shall endeavour to put my face closer to the microphone. I know that has been a problem with me for the last few drives I've done on jigger. Now, these young males, of course, are nowhere near the stage that they're about to start worrying about ladies. They are just basically getting to grips with life on Earth here. A short life for lots of them and lots of their colleagues. Very few of them will actually make it to their first birthdays. Only 50% or so. The rest will be eaten by wild dogs, hyenas, leopards, cheetahs, lions, maybe even the odd martial eagle, although they're a little bit beyond that size now. So roughly 25% of them would have been taken out by this stage, which I feel is a little rough. We also, you know, we drive past Impala very often, and I feel sometimes a little guilty about that because they are so very lovely to look at. They've got many interesting habits. Right, as that female looks up at us in great surprise, let us head across to Sam Chevalier and find out what his plans for the afternoon are, and I'll catch up with you later.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Sabi Sands. It is Sam Chevalier here, and behind the camera is Brian. Brian and his friendly thumb with a beautiful looking wave in his hair. It is a beautiful afternoon. The sun is out. The wind has died down a little bit. There's a couple of clouds which could potentially be a beautiful sunset in the evening. Rebecca is behind as the director this afternoon. Looking forward to searching this beautiful wilderness, seeing what's out there today. And a couple of seconds ago, myself and Brian were just having a chat about some of the things that we would love to see. And I'm going to be honest, we want to see a pangolin. I know it's a very difficult thing to see, a pangolin. I've never seen a pangolin, but I set the intention out there. If we see a pangolin, it's going to be a fantastic day in the lives of Sam, Brian, and all of you. But otherwise, we would also love to see some ellies going down to the watering hole, drinking some water, playing in the mud. It's quite hot this afternoon, so our best chance of seeing that is probably now. So we're going to head in that direction. But other than that, I really want to see a dung beetle that's rolling a nice ball. So that'll be exciting. And just to bring you into the space that you are looking at now is close to where Wahlberg's nest was, also Wahlberg's road. Is that correct, Brian? That is correct. Slowly but surely learning my roads here on Djuma. And this is the exact location where I started my very first seconds at WildEarth. And it was, I was sitting here shaking. 3, 2, 1. Sam, you're alive. You're alive. What? Unreal experiences. And we looked up into this beautiful little knobthorn, and at the top was a Wahlberg's eagle. I'm pretty sure it was this one. It was this one. Hey, Brian? Yeah. Yes. So we were very, very, very fortunate to have a sighting of a Wahlberg's eagle here. So this is where it all started, and it's going to be an exciting afternoon. I'm very, very keen on going out this afternoon. I'm sure you all are as well. I've got my lucky hat on. I know it's quite a large hat, so I'm just going to try and trim it in a little bit. But it is my lucky hat, so if we're going to see a pangolin, it's going to most likely be on this hat. But with that, myself and Brian are going to kick it out of here, and we're going to see what we can find at Buffels Hook Dam. Otherwise, let's see what James is up to. See you now.
Now, we are driving along a road next to quarantine clearings, and there are lots of birds around here. We've just seen 2 doves and 2 rollers and 2 pairs of everything, basically, 2 Birchall starlings. And while we're doing this, let us just give a quick shout out to Virginia Beach, the Three Oaks Elementary School, Miss Sidone, I hope we're saying your name correctly, and the staff and teachers, brave teachers, the most noble profession, of course, that of teaching. A big welcome to you, and you're checking out Safari Live, and we look forward to interacting with you over the coming months. So welcome. Hello, Eric, and we'll chat later, I hope. There is the fork-tailed drongo. There is a fork-tailed drongo, everyone, and I'm just watching it because I see another one.
Just had a kill.
Has he got a kill?
He swallowed it.
Did he swallow his kill already? Greedy guts. Jean-Ray, can you see the one to the right?
Yeah.
That looks like it could be a hole in which a drongo might have nested. So while we consider that, that actually looks like a juvenile drongo to me. While we consider that, Debbie, you're interested in those young male impala, and you want to know if... Gracious me. That is the call of the most beautiful bird here. It is a lilac-breasted roller. Very upset. Let me just reverse back there. It's in the tree behind us. Debbie, I will get on to your question about the male impala. He's right here. He's just above your head. There he goes. Why is he shouting there? There, he's right there. It's just right on the end of the long branch. There are 2 of them there. There's 2 birds there with the lilac breast. You see them?
Got a kill.
Okay. So, lilac-breasted rollers, very close by, only about, say, 25 feet. How many meters, Rondry? You can tell, can't you? Oh, there was a kill again, wasn't there?
Yes.
That's 2 kills in one drive. Almost unheard of. They are so beautiful. And I wonder if they aren't youngsters as well, that were perhaps born in a knot or hole of this marula tree that they're sitting in now. So while we look at that beautiful bird fly away, Debbie, you want to know about the male impalas and when they and if they will leave their natal herd. They will leave their natal herd and form a bachelor herd probably at the age of 2 or so. So just after their second birth, they're going into their 2.5 year, they'll hit puberty and they'll get that sign of surge of testosterone, and they'll be chased out of the herd by territorial males, and they'll form little bachelor groups for a while until their 3rd year, or 3.5 year, when they'll then try and start setting up a territory of their own. Thank you for that, Debbie. Now, Jean-Ray, I know you're going to be very upset about this. There's a bright yellow butterfly with a bright white butterfly over there. Can you see that? You see it at all? Well done. You're a genius. That is a sulfur orange tip, everybody. I have to encourage Jean-Ray with much hyperbole when he sees a butterfly because he doesn't like doing it. There we go. I think that's a sulfur orange tip. Let me look with these powerful binoculars.
Ed.
Yes, I'm trying. I can't see the butterfly.
With a monarch.
With a monarch. It's not sitting still anymore, is it? Okay, I'm just quickly looking, everyone. I don't think it is what I said it was. Let me just try and find you a picture of the butterfly that I thought it was, even though I no longer think that that's what it was. Which book should we look at? Let's look at this one. Sulfur orange tip. It's always a good idea at this time of the afternoon to spend a bit of time on the little things, the insects. because, of course, once it gets cold, they don't like to move around too much. So when it's quite warm like this, they do. So we'll just quickly go through the butterflies, skip the moth section. I hope I'm going to find him in here. There he is. You shake your head at me, Gendre, you faithless man. There he is. And he doesn't look anything like the one we've just seen. But that's not because he's necessarily the wrong butterfly. They don't go from anywhere that colour to kind of bright sulphur yellow. And the orange tip refers, of course, to the orange tips. Yes. There are the rest of the tip butterflies. Scarlet tip. Smoky orange tip. Banded gold tip. Very nice. Okay, those are the tips. I think that was a sulphur-orange, everyone. Given the fact that we didn't get a better look at it, I'm going to go for it. Now the roller, of course, here, Gendre has just pointed out, seems to be having a bit of a contretemps with the drongos. You still see him?
Yeah.
I'll stop here.
Put
Back
him
a
down
bit.
the branch.
Back a bit. Sailing. There he is. Sharpening his beak a bit, cleaning it off. A lovely light touching his eyes. 7 colours apparently on the lilac-breasted roller. Lilac, white, light blue, darkish blue. I suppose there's some black there. What else have we got, Gendre? Maybe a bit of purple. Anybody, if you can send through the colours on the lilac-breasted roller, hashtag Safari Live, questions at WildEarth.tv, that would be great. Whenever I say that, I think of those poor people who do the voiceovers of advertisements where they have to read out the terms and conditions at a quite phenomenal speed. It is amazing that such a pretty bird has such a vile call. They're very cross with each other today, flying all the way around here. Anyway, let's leave the rollers and the drongos and head down towards Treehouse Waterhole, where hopefully there'll be a herd of elephants. I do say hopefully, I don't know. And Donna Miller, you say, yay, it's a butterfly day. Gendre, of course, is shaking his head. That's okay, Donna. We shall ignore Gendre's protestations, because soon, of course, the butterflies will be no longer. They will all be finished as we go into winter, and Gendre will be happy, of course, by then. Except, hopefully, by then we will also be back on bushwalk, and that means that Gendre will be happy to film butterflies. This is an odd fellow. He's also from Cape Town. Well, he's not from Cape Town, but he does spend time there now. You weren't born there, were you? You were born in Johannesburg. So parts of Gendre function at a normal speed and other parts function at a Cape Townian speed. And if you think I'm joking about Cape Town, I'm really not. People genuinely do operate at a slightly slower speed than the rest of us. Brooklyn, you are 10 years old, and it's wonderful to have you along because, of course, as I've said before, the younger the people who enjoy the wilderness are, the more the chance that the wilderness will be protected is. So, I'm not sure that last sentence was in fact English, but you get the gist of what I was saying. It's not English, was it, John? No. Shaking his head. Anyway, Brooklyn, it's lovely to have you along. And you say, do butterflies come from caterpillars? They do indeed come from caterpillars, Brooklyn. And it's an incredible process called metamorphosis, where they are a caterpillar, and then they go into a chrysalis, and sometimes a protective thing around it called a pupa, and they become like a liquid. So if you were to open up a chrysalis before the butterfly had formed, you would find nothing but liquid. And then from that liquid, somehow, and we don't fully understand it, a butterfly forms and eventually emerges. Totally different it looks from the caterpillar. And that, Brooklyn, if you're feeling particularly smart this afternoon, is called a holometabolic metamorphosis. Holometabolic. But you don't have to remember that. You do have to remember metamorphosis, though. That's a very important word. And just to give you an update, I know some of you will be wondering about Karula. Karula finished her kill yesterday, walked straight back south. There's some elephants, hooray. Walked straight back south across the border into Little Gowrie, and that's where she was found this morning. No one's seen her cubs. So I don't know that we're going to see her again. We're going to go down and have a look in that general area to see if she doesn't pop across for a drink. Right, there's elephants up ahead. We'll just see where they're moving, how many there are. The first thing you do, of course, when you see elephants on the right is look to the left. Well done, Grande. Oh, there's a little one here. There we are. So here are 4 elephants, a small herd. I don't know this herd, I don't think. The other small herd of 4 has a matriarch with the bottom third of her trunk missing. And that is not this herd. But this herd is very relaxed. And that little one, well, a little bit nervous of us. So staying that side of her big mum in order to put her between him and us. Now, I have done this already, but I think there was some kind of time difference glitch. Another warm welcome to Miss Sedone and the teachers of the Three Oaks Elementary School in Virginia Beach. Hello to you. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to interacting with you as the future goes along, inexorably, as it always does. And we hope that you enjoy the little bit of this drive that you're going to be watching with us. And we hope to be interacting with your kids at the school very soon. So very peaceful, and elephants give one either a sense of peace, or if they are not feeling peaceful, you get a sense that they aren't feeling peaceful, and then it's normally fairly terrifying. But that doesn't happen very often, especially in this area. The elephants are pretty relaxed, and I just don't know this little herd. See the little one there? Just showing us that he's not very happy with us at all. And he's indicating that by having his ears stuck out and pointing his little trunk at us to see if he can smell what we're about. And I'm just saying he, I don't know if that's a he or a she, almost impossible to tell at this age. And Mum really enjoying the grass that she's eating. Another young bull, looks like. And I mean, this is an unusually small herd. You might find that they've broken off from a bigger herd just for the day, but there's lots of water around at the moment, and so you will find that the herds will get a bit smaller. Immediate families, mothers and their youngsters will go off together. And when the water starts to concentrate during the dry season, then they will form those much bigger herds. Now, they're not actually that relaxed. I'm not really sure why. I'm just going to reverse back a little bit. Joyce, while we reverse back, you want to know if an elephant might ever have twins. And Joyce, the answer is yes, it's possible. It has happened. Have I ever seen it? No, I don't believe that I have. And, of course, there are all sorts of birth difficulties that can occur with animals out here if they have twins. They don't have the help, of course, we as human beings do. So by far more normal is one calf, but it is possible for them to have twins. But often I think you'll find that there'll either be only one will survive, or indeed both might die. That little one is probably, well, that one you're looking at is probably about 10, and the very little one is probably just under a year old. In fact, no, quite a lot under a year old, just a month or two. They're very big when they're born. And Jacob, I don't know how to sex that little elephant, but the other ones are a little bit easier. And you want to know how it's possible to sex an elephant. Well, if you're lucky, the obvious pops out, and then it's easy to tell. But if that doesn't happen, you can tell from a number of things. The easiest thing to look for is the mammary glands between the front legs. Once they've hit puberty, sort of around, for a female as young as 9, then what you'll find is that the mammary glands between the front legs start to swell, and then it becomes very obvious. Then other ways of telling are the females have got a much more sort of square forehead. Males have got quite a rounded forehead. Males also have much thicker tusks at the base, but females have thinner ones. But again, you know, unless you're comparing one with the other, it's difficult to tell. And I'll say, let me go, I'm just going to turn slightly, and we'll get a better idea of this lot. So here, obviously, we've got a big cow and a little baby. The little baby I wouldn't even try and sex at this stage. I think what you've got here is a young bull in front of us. I might be wrong, but a young bull, he's got slightly rounded forehead. And then I think there's a young cow. That one there, I think, is a small cow. Just because she's got a slightly squarer forehead, but I might be wrong. This one obviously thinks I am wrong. So he's showing a slight amount of displeasure today. And now that's very typical for a young elephant, just to test himself or test herself. Normally it's a himself when they behave like this. So I'm going to stick with my guess that that's a male, and the one that is very calmly eating with the older one is a female. And they will often take their cue from the mother. And so if the mother is upset with us, the rest of them will be upset with us. She couldn't care less about us at the moment, though. And Tim Brooks, an interesting one. Obviously, we're looking at a very tiny elephant there. And this tiny elephant has actually a very good chance of survival. So unlike the impala we were talking about, which have a 50% survival rate for their first year, elephants probably have, I would say, barring some kind of major tragedy, I'd say that elephant's probably got an 80% chance of reaching adulthood, which is really very good out here. I think, so like I was saying, impala, 50% don't make it to their first years. 1 in 10 male lions will make it to actually having a territory. Probably 1.5 in 10 male leopards, the same story. Maybe 2 in 10 female leopards will make it to owning a territory. So the elephants have a much better chance, and that, of course, is because, A, they're not territorial, so they're never fighting with each other for territory, which is a big thing. And secondly, they, of course, are also not threatened by much because they are so very big. And so not very much likes to eat them. Well, not very much can eat them, and they are afforded the protection of a big herd of elephants. So even though these youngsters are probably no more than, I'd say they're both under 10 years old, the two youngsters. That's interesting, actually. I'll go into what my thought process is there now. Even though they are that age, good chance that they will protect that baby, even though they're still youngsters. Now, Shayna, you're just 18 years old, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, you're watching us from the Eastern Cape of South Africa. Is that correct? But you're from Zambia, which is marvelous. My parents are in the Eastern Cape, of course, beautiful part of the world. And Zambia, I have only been to a very small portion of in the very south. Anyway, if you want to know when that elephant will get its little tusks, and it'll start getting those little tusks. The males about 12 months, and the females, if I'm not, no, sorry, the males about 18 months, and the females about 24 months, 2 years. Now, just quickly, before we leave this elephant herd, those two there, the 9 and 10-year-olds, are very similar aged, and I mean, it's very likely that they belong to the big cow. Now, is it possible that they are twins? We had the question about twins. So is it possible that those two are twins? I've absolutely no idea. Only some kind of genetic test would be able to tell that, but, you know, there it is. It might well be possible. Okay, let's head across to Sam. He's in the far northeast corner of Djuma at Buffelshoek Dam.
We are here with the buffs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buffalo by the watering hole. Incredible afternoon. As you can see, it is very, very hot. The reason why you can see that is because you can see buffaloes sitting underneath the shade there, and one buffalo in this mud wallow, and the one with the oxpecker on his head. How cool is that? Just there chewing on his cud and sitting in a mud wallow. Sorry, not waddle, wallow. So I've been told that you've been learning a little bit about ecology and ecosystems with James. I'm sure that was exceptionally interesting. I'm not quite sure where you guys went to in your conversation, but I thought, you know, in context with what's going on here in terms of the ecosystem, there's so much going on, from the plants to the water to the buffs to the sky to the clouds. Everything is part of this ecosystem that creates this beautiful part of the world. And I thought I would just start with just this little mud wallow that we have over here. This mud wallow could have been started by a little warthog many years ago that started looking for tubes in the ground, and then it started getting a little bit bigger, and then some other animal came and started scrapping away there, and then a buffalo came and started opening up the hole a little bit more, and eventually the hole started getting bigger and the water started to fill in, and eventually buffalo came here, just like the buffalo that we're seeing now, and this hole has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And what happens when holes get bigger is they actually create space for the other animals, the biodiversity, to thrive around it. If you can imagine the dragonflies that are here, the beetles, all the little insect life that lives out here in the bush also thrive around water areas. And it's very similar to a concept like permaculture in terms of gardening. If anyone's very familiar with permaculture, it's based on gardening that is nature, using nature as a principle to design for gardening. And within permaculture, you'll learn that it's quite important. It's really good to create a water system in your garden, which helps bring biodiversity to the garden and helps pollinate the garden and creates more life. So when you bring in different players and you create systems where more life can come in, you are increasing the biodiversity within an area. So animals like elephants and buffaloes can be seen as ecosystem engineers, where they can start to manipulate the landscape in such a way that more animals can thrive in this beautiful environment. What else can we see here? We can see a beautiful oxpecker. Well, we sat with the oxpeckers for a while. Can we see one? You can hear them. Quite significantly, we can hear them. You can see them flying around from tree to tree. And they are, well, the reason why I'm bringing up the oxpecker is because I'm so interested in seeing the yellow-billed oxpecker, because that is one of the birds in this ecosystem that I haven't seen. I think I've seen it, I might have just seen it fly by once, but I couldn't make sure of it, and it's one of those ones that I really want to put on my bird list. So if we can keep a lookout, because often with buffaloes we'll find oxpeckers and we'll be able to see them. So let's keep an eye out for the yellow-billed oxpecker. Yes, the yellow-billed oxpecker. So in time we should be able to find the oxpecker, and we'll write that into our bird list. Wow. Ooh, Nigel's asking a very interesting question from the UK. With the late rain, will that affect the coloration here in terms of it going into autumn? I think that's a really good question. I haven't actually experienced the bush when it's been like this. Who knows what it's going to be like in a month's time? I mean, April, May is normally that time of the year where the leaves start to drop and the whole coloration of the bush changes. But to my prediction, I think that this area is actually going to be similar to every single other year. It's just been a drought, over the last couple of months, and it will be no different to a drought that was here maybe 100 years ago to 50 years ago. So my prediction, it's going to be dry and it's going to have the same sort of colorations as most autumns. But you never know, Nigel. It could be very different to one before. And James is a very experienced guide here in the Sabi Sand, so he'll easily be able to recognize the significant changes that is happening here in the Sabi Sands. But just while we're sitting here with the buffalo, I just want to, it's so important to talk about these animals, that are dangerous, in terms of why humans think that they are dangerous. And this is because, buffaloes, are dangerous on foot because they, the males can't keep up with the herds anymore. So what they do is they will go out and find the richer, greener grasses down by the mud wallows, and they'll sit here and they become very tired here. So it's very, very dangerous. So if you're walking in the bush and you come across one of these male buffaloes, you must be very careful because they will think it's more of a mission for them to run away from you. So they would rather fight. So when you come across one of these buffaloes, just be very careful in the bush because they might just come and run at you. So that's a very important animal to consider when on foot. And bringing it back to the red-billed oxpecker that we've been listening to a lot while we've been here, when you're on a walk, you'll hear that sound. And when you hear that sound, you must stop and you listen, because that'll tell you that the mammal could be, the buffalo could be just to the right of you. So that's not only just the buffalo, it could be many other animals where the oxpeckers go. So there's all these signs that are telling us a lot about what's going on here in the bush. But with that, I think that we should carry on our journey. And Brian and I really want to see, some elephants down by the watering hole. But what would you like to see today? We've still got about 2.5 hours left out here. And I know that we've got some very, very keen ecosystem thinkers out there. So I would love to know what you would like to see, what part of the ecosystem interests you. And send through a tweet, #SafariLive, and we'll see what we can do, and we'll see what we can find and talk about it, so we can have a conversation. Otherwise, you can also do questions at WildEarth.tv. That would be fantastic. Otherwise, we're going to head off and see what we can see. James Hendry's old hat. James Hendry's old hat. Wow, that was sitting in the car next to me the other day. So I feel like James Hendry's old hat is sitting next to me here somewhere. James Hendry's old hat was asking me why is it that the yellow-billed oxpecker is much harder to see than that of the red-billed oxpecker? They have got similar feeding habits. They do the same thing as what the red-billed oxpecker does. But I don't think they're that kind of hard to see. But just hold on 1 second. I really want to show you this bird. I haven't got it on my bird list. Can you see it over here? It's called a crested francolin. Oh, he just ran off. Here he is. Oh, it's a beautiful francolin. He's got a beautiful little white stripe on top of his eye there. Incredible animal. Oh, bird, sorry. The crested francolins also are a really good key bird to listen out for here in the bush, because they're also alarm call at different predators, and they can tell you a lot about what's going on out here. So that was the crested francolin. We've seen it now, and as soon as I get the chance, I'm going to write that in our bird list. So it's all very exciting out here. Let's go back to that question. The question was, do the yellow-billed actually, you know, is they much more vulnerable than that of the red-billed. Yeah, and yeah, so it's endangered. And I think, you know, I'm not too sure why it's actually endangered. That would be really interesting to find out. My dad, who has been up to different parts of Africa, said that he's seen some areas where you can get quite a few of the yellow-billed oxpeckers, but it's not as easy to see them here in the Sabi Sands. I actually have only seen, yeah, as I said, just flying past. But it's a very interesting point. I'd love to look more into that James Hendry's hat. We'll talk about it when we see one, hopefully in the next couple of days. I'll look out for that information and we can talk about it. So we are going up Nyala North, if I'm correct. It's great. So I'm starting to learn a little bit more about the roads that are here. Actually, I think this is the link to Nyala North. Yeah, so it's been quite tough trying to learn all the different roads here on Djuma, and then now they've just opened up to Cheetah Plains, and there's Arathusa, so there's all these different roads. But it's been such a fun thing just to learn about a different space and be an adventurer in a place. It's a very exciting thing. So if there are any listeners out there, viewers out there that would like to be an adventurer, I'd highly recommend it. If you want to learn more about the ecosystem, get out there and see what you can see. Otherwise, let's go and see what James Hendry's up to.
Too blind buff, too blind buff. See how they wallow, see how they wallow. Sorry, everybody, I couldn't resist that. But there are two blind buffalo here, well, semi-blind. That one you can see a very large cataract across his right eye, and the one just whose bottom is sticking out beyond that bush also has the same problem. We don't know why. It seems rather odd. And they are, despite the fact that they see us probably twice a day, still a little bit reticent to sit still and lie down when we're this close. We're probably at about 20 meters or so from them, so 60, 70 feet. And they just got up and sort of, they're just not comfortable around people. It's so funny. So many of the animals will habituate. Buffalo have very little to fear from anything out here. And yet when we come along, and especially if there's a little breeze blowing towards them, which I think you'll find there is. Let me check. No. The breeze is blowing away from them, everyone. But often, if they, not in this particular case, but often, if the wind is blowing from behind us towards them, that scent of human being makes them react immediately. They're fascinated by us simply because, I don't really understand. They have no reason to feel any sense of fear from a human being or the vehicles. Right. There is some glorious mud all over that buffalo. And that one will be dripping it all over the ground. And the mud will then dry and hopefully help the buffalo to remove the ectoparasites and ticks that he has sticking on his body. I suppose it's every young boy's and young girl's dream to be able to wallow in mud like this and play. And then the buffalo, of course, doesn't have to have a bath or a shower. It just goes to sleep. It has its supper and goes to sleep caked in that mud. And I know as a kid, it's exactly how we wanted to be. And Larry, you want to know that is a cataract? Yes, I think it is exactly a cataract. I don't really know too much about ophthalmics, but I'm guessing that it is indeed a cataract. And the other one also has one. Unless, the other thing it could be, of course, is that that buffalo has spiked his eye on a thorn or a stick or a twig. And I'm amazed it doesn't happen more often than it does, because they do run through the thick bush. And so the chances of them injuring their eyes, I think, are very high. And of course, they've got their heads on the ground the whole day, moving their heads from side to side, grazing. It's really not that inconceivable that a buffalo should spike its eye on a thorn. The mud falling off him now, glistening in the sun. That's very nice. He's just having a quick smell of his friend's dung. And a quick taste. That's delightful. Oh no, that's not his dung. It's a piece of wood, everyone. I cast aspersions on this buffalo. He's eating a piece of wood, which is infinitely preferable to what I thought he was doing. I mean, I had a friend out here, actually, who did precisely the same thing. I feel one shouldn't talk when something like this is happening. That is an impressive feat to have produced that much dung in one sloppy sitting is quite something. I'm awestruck to the point of silence. Oh, there we go. That's fine. He's just completing the job now. That's fantastic. Rebecca, could you give me Big Dave's question again? I was so awestruck by what this buffalo is doing. Now, Big Dave, your question has got to do with the diet of the buffalo and how does it benefit them? Well, they eat grass. They're almost exclusively grazers. I think, John, that's enough of that foulness. Let's watch this one. That one there is horning the bushes, scratching the top of his horns. Big Dave, they're almost exclusively grazers, and, well, I mean, that's just the niche that they fill, and they derive a huge amount of nutrition from the grass out here. Highly efficient digestive system if they have enough water to eat. So the one limiting factor for a buffalo is that it must have sufficient moisture in its digestive system. Otherwise, that very dry grass, especially in the winter months, will not be nutritious enough. So, Big Dave, I hope that answers your question. He's just scratching his head. And it's no wonder that it's no wonder that they've got gammy eyes, these two, if that's what they do. Now, for a long time, people will tell you, or people will often tell you, that this is territorial behavior. Buffalo are not territorial, though. So they will then tell you, well, it's obviously dominance behavior. That's why he's horning the bushes. I don't believe that to be the case either. I think it's simply that they're itchy. Now, if you've ever seen a dead buffalo skull, as opposed to a living buffalo skull, which would be very disturbing indeed, but a dead buffalo skull has often got a keratin-eating moth growing out of it. Now, that black covering on the top of the horns is keratin, and keratin, of course, is a very rich source of nutrients if you can digest it, and some of these moths can, and the caterpillars eat those moths. Now, I think those moths lay their eggs in the top of living buffaloes' heads, and I think that they drill in there, and I think it becomes extremely itchy and they get scratched out, and I think that that is half the reason that they spend so much time scratching their heads. I may be talking absolute rubbish because I've never read that, but I think that is the case. And there you can see the cataract on that one. Just quickly, Sandy, you reckon that maybe they're a bit nervous because, of course, if you're blind in one eye, you don't have a sense of depth of perception in the same way that you would otherwise. These animals don't have a great sense of depth of perception anyway, Sandy, because their eyes are placed pretty much to the side of their heads. So most of the herbivores don't have what we call binocular vision, which is what gives you your depth of perception. So I don't think that's why they're nervous. All buffalo react in very much the same way as these ones do. Let's go and check out what Sam is up to.
Dwarf mongoose, everyone. Look how sweet this little guy is. He's just sitting on top of a termite mound here. As you'll know, with dwarf mongoose, there's more than just one. There is a whole bunch of them, and they all have been living in this termite mound, and they've been running around us while we've been waiting, and there's a couple just moving around, so hopefully they'll come out again and show themselves to us, and let us see what they're up to. They're such playful animals. They really are. Well, there he goes. He's jumping across the road. Oh, he's awesome, hey? So I think they're all out now. Can you see? There's another one. How's it? So there are a number of different types of mongooses here in the Sabi Sands, and this is the smallest of them, the dwarf mongoose. Incredible animals, and my favorite thing about learning about dwarf mongoose and its relationship to the environment, or rather a symbiotic relationship, which is that which a mongoose has with a hornbill. It's incredible what they'll do. A hornbill and a mongoose will work together to help with getting different things. So a hornbill will make an alarm call to tell the mongoose, listen, Mr. Mongoose, you better get inside your holes because there's a predator around. So the mongoose will run, get into his hole. And in the same way, to say thank you to Mr. Hornbill, when they have the opportunity, it's going to come out and it's going to start digging in the ground and pulling up different types of insects, and the hornbill will get to feed on the different types of insects. So when you spend the time, wherever you are in the world, and you're interested in learning a little bit more about your ecosystems and the way in which animals have a relationship to each other or to the birds, not only just to animals of the similar type. You know, go out there, learn your ecology, and see what animals are doing, and see how they are in relation to everything. And what's also so cool about dwarf mongoose is, you know, in order to help with their, to sustain their lifestyle, and also to be able to get away from predators, I think that's the right way to put it, to get away from predators such as owls and eagles and that sort of stuff that will often try to find them. They'll have a number of different holes or places where their homes are. So where we just saw them now, where you're looking at this beautiful little mongoose, you'll find that they'll have another home or another home. So they have up to 10 different homes that they'll go to hide from the different types of predators that are out there. So very, very clever little animals. Very, 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 very clever. Look at them. There's 1, 2, 3. That's so sweet. If we're lucky, we can hear them they make such a cool little sound. Let's see if we can hear some sounds from them. Wow. So sometimes you'll hear this little cheeky little sound that they make. It's really, really quite interesting. But we haven't managed to hear that right now. I'm sure we'll have some time with the dwarf mongoose a little bit later, and we can hear them make this cute little sound. But there's all sorts of other sounds going on around us. I just heard a scimitar bull a little bit earlier, so maybe we'll be able to see a scimitar bull out here. That's something that we haven't seen yet. So we're going to get back in the vehicle and see if we can locate that sound. So I don't know how many of you have seen a scimitar bull. I've seen one once, and I'm super excited to see another one. So we're going to carry on, see if we can locate it. But wow, there's many things going on out here. Birds, tiny little dwarf mongooses. And we're going to get up there and see what we can find. Ooh. What number bird am I on? who would like to know what number bird I'm on? Okay, so it's not very neat. It's a lot of people. A lot of people want to know what bird I'm on. So I know that my handwriting is not very good when I'm in the vehicle, because obviously it's not that easy to write. So please don't judge my handwriting. But I am on number 1, 2, 3. Jeez, I've got 2 3s here. That's not very good. So that's actually a 3, and that's a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 birds, and I'll read them out to you, to any new viewers that are here. If you want to get a pen and paper out and write down the ones that I say quickly, because then you can get on with my bird list and we can do it together over the next while. Maybe I should turn off my vehicle. So we have the magpie shrike, the red-bill oxpecker, the blacksmith plover, the crested franklin. Oh no, this is awkward. We have actually seen the crested franklin, so I have to cross that out. Okay, so we've seen the crested franklin already. The barn swallow, the Burchell starling, the grey lurie, the lilac-breasted roller, the yellow-billed hornbill, and that is a note that I made. That's not a bird. Oxpeckers and eyes. So that was. I wanted to learn a little bit more about the oxpecker. The question that we had earlier was amazing. You know, what is the density of the yellow-billed and the red-billed, and I'm going to find that out. And then we've had the red-billed buffalo weaver. So that's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're on 10, everyone. Slowly but surely wins the race. It's been exciting. Hopefully you can find the scimitar ball. Let's see if we can do it. Wow. Okay. Okay, guys, so we're going into a drainage area. As you can see, I'm going down a slope. So I've got to try and keep as silent as possible, because there could be anything here, and I don't want to scare anything away, especially that scimitar ball that I was hearing. I think I can see it up in the bush there. No. I thought I could hear the scimitar ball. There will be another time to see the scimitar ball. If you haven't seen the scimitar, this is what I'm looking for, everyone. Very, very cool bird. I love it. So I was so excited to show it to you if we had seen it. But maybe while I'm showing it to you over here, it'll come out and show itself. So that's a very important thing in the bush, is just to be patient and let things come and not rush. Scimitar ball. Scimitar ball. How would you start spelling scimitar ball? You can hear him. Can you hear him? Scimitar ball. Hold on, I think I can hear him. Okay, guys, we're going to have a look later for that scimitar ball in the book, just because I thought I heard it coming down here. Definitely heard the wood hoopoo. Not the wood hoopoo, sorry, the hoopoos. So we're going to go slow. If we look down here, we can quite clearly see we're in a river drainage area. So this is a perfect place to find different animals that like to rest in the shade. Hyenas you'll often find hiding in here, as well as rhinos. So we've got to be careful out here. It's not very easy to see all these animals. Oof. Chris Rogue just made a very fair point to say that I saw the saddle-billed stork and I didn't write it down. Very, very fair point. Thank you very much for bringing it up. I need to keep updating my book. Saddle-billed stork. Thank you, Chris Rogue. Helping make my life a little bit easier out here so I can remember all the different things. As I said, we've got to slowly go through these drainage areas just because there's every chance that we might come across something awesome. And all you out there that are interested in becoming a safari guide one day, it's an incredible feeling going into a drainage area slowly and just listening to the different bird calls, the different sounds of the bush that might indicate anything to some predator or large mammal that might be in those areas. So it's a quiet afternoon out here in the bush, and myself and Brian are going to see if we can make our way through to Buffelshoek Dam. And that's where we're hoping to find what we set out, what we put the intention to as we started our drive this afternoon. So we'd love to see some young ellies playing in the watering hole in the mud. That would make us exceptionally happy. If there's anything else that you guys would like to see out there, please hashtag Safari Love. We would love to know what you want to see, and we'll try our very, very best to see if we can see it out here today. Wow. And I'm going to keep an eye out on the sides of the road to see if I can see those little creatures that make those little balls, little dung balls, and they push them. It's incredible to watch them. They're all, wow, you can really have some incredible sightings with them where they'll push a piece of dung up a hill. They'll literally push it up a hill. I mean, I don't know how they do it, but they managed to do it. Maybe we'll get to see that this afternoon. We'll keep our eyes out for them. It's very, very thick bush. This is perfect bush to tell you that there might be a kudu or an nyala out here, because they really like to sit in this foliage and keep their ears alert for any predators that might be walking around. That saddle-billed stork sighting that we had yesterday was magnificent. Thanks so much, Chris Rogue, for bringing that back into my memory. It was such an eventful day yesterday. Brian and I were sitting down by Buffelshoek Dam and we were seeing all sorts of things. Wow. Okay, we're going to slowly make our way here. I want to put something in. My audio's just come out. Just want to see if I can find it and locate it in the vehicle. Here it is. Located the sound piece so I can hear what is going on behind scenes. Sometimes it just jumps out. I've got to be more mindful of it though. Liam, we have a viewer out here who is 3 years old, and he wants to know if we have lions, tigers, and bears. Cheapers, Liam. Wow, that's definitely a trio that it would be quite interesting to see if they had out here. But Liam, we definitely have lions out here, most definitely. We were tracking lions this morning, myself and Brent were out, and we were looking for lions, and we looked everywhere for them, but we didn't manage to see them. We were following the buffalo herd, and the buffalo, we thought maybe that the lion was going to try and eat one of the buffaloes, but Liam, we definitely are. I'm going to do my very best to see if we can see a lion this afternoon. But tigers and bears, have you seen a tiger or a bear here?
Not recently, no.
Yeah, no, Brian hasn't seen one. Liam, it's quite difficult to spot them out here in the bushveld. I don't know where you're from, Liam. I'd love to know where you're from. Where in the world are you from? Maybe you've got tigers and bears where you are. And if you do, please tweet in and let us know. And if you've seen one, I'd love to know if you've seen a tiger or a bear. I haven't managed to see one of those. With that, Liam, and I'm going to try my very best to see if we can see this lion. We're going to see if we find tracks. Anything. Buffalo's Hook Dam could provide anything for us. We knew the pride was there just a couple of days ago, so it'll be hard, but we're going to do our best. And with that, let's go and see what James is up to.
There is an Arathusa wildebeest, everybody. We have just approached the Arathusa airstrip. We thought we'd come and have a visit here. That particular Arathusa wildebeest is having a wee. Lovely the way the light catches the stream there of uric acid. That was unbelievable how it decided to do that as we came live. But again, what you can see is the sun shines off the rump of that young wildebeest, who is now probably about almost 6 months old. As you can see, an incredible amount of muscle definition. So they are very strong, they're in very good condition at the moment, and that is purely a result of the extra green grass that has popped up since the rain we've had. And he's even got a beard at this age. Now, we're often asked if that is the same wildebeest that migrates in such vast numbers across the East African plains. And the answer is yes, it is the same species, but it is a different subspecies. And so it is a blue wildebeest that is streaming across the Serengeti as we speak, 2 million of them there. And the subspecies is called the brindled gnu, and the difference is that instead of having a black beard like these ones have, instead of having that very telling black beard, even on the cows, they have got a white beard. And they are really enjoying that green grass. Weaned already, of course. Maybe trying to have a little bit of milk still, but I think that Mum will be more and more reticent to give it to him. This is actually quite an interesting little arrangement. It looks like a small wildebeest nuclear family. That's a cow and a calf, and in front a bull. Wildebeest are not known for the nuclear family, and so I suspect it's because there are not very many wildebeests around. Of course, this bull has sought the company of this cow and her calf. Green grass here is really just such a boon for them. They're going to eat as much as they can, of course, before the winter time comes, and that green grass turns to brown and food becomes difficult to find. And just to report on Shadow, everybody. Shadow is fine, her cubs are fine. The other game drives are viewing them as we speak. We won't be viewing them until they're about 2 months old. It's just easier for us to do it that way. And so that's probably another 3 weeks before we try and actively view Shadow's cubs. We will happily view Karula's cubs at this age. Because they are over 2 months old, they can climb trees, they can escape from predators at 2 months. Sharon, I've missed your question, I'm afraid. It sounds like a really interesting one, so Rebecca, again, please. Just going to sneak slowly forward. Now, we're not talking about wildebeest at the moment, we're talking about Karula and her youngsters. And Sharon, you're interested to know if the marks on Karula's babies will change as they get older. Well, you know, as the old adage goes, Sharon, a leopard cannot change its spots. And that is actually true. A leopard will not change its spots. What will happen is that the spots will just become further and further apart. And so although it will look like they change a bit, they won't. Pretty much the spots that there are on that leopard now, on those both two little leopards, will remain until they are adults for the rest of their lives. As I suppose all the stripes that are developing on this young gnu. And I just want you to be quiet. We had a request at the beginning of the drive for some sound, and you were looking forward to listening to the bush, and I'm afraid the name has slipped me. It is a regular viewer, I think. It may have been Debbie. And let's just listen, because you can actually hear the grass tearing. You hear that? That lovely sound. No birds calling at the moment. Just the tearing of the grass. And Gendre's stomach. Always loud is Gendre's stomach. Ellie Abbey, you want to know if how many of the original herd of wildebeest babies, the cohort that was born this year, survived. Our Juma herd had 11 babies in it. I think they've got 10 left, if I'm not mistaken. This is a different herd. This is the Arethusa herd. I'm not sure how many they had or where the rest of them are. I hope that there are more than there are here now. But as far as I'm aware, though, of the 11 that were born to us, 10 survived, or have survived so far. And that's because of an absence of lions at the moment. Well, not absence, but the lions have been around in different areas. And also, the Nkuhuma pride, of course, is kind of a buffalo specialist pride. And even without a male with them, they have been killing buffalo. And of course, they are spending time with the Birmingham boys now. So buffalo hunting becomes a really good option. Okay, let's leave these wildebeests and head on to the Arethusa airstrip and see what's there. I do so very much enjoy this Twitter handle, Majus Major. You want to know if the umbilical cord on these animals is chewed off by the adults or if it just comes off on its own, if it tears. Well, certainly on something like a giraffe, it ruptures. As the baby gives birth, it ruptures off. I watched a zebra giving birth for the first time the other day. It was a wonderful experience, and there was no evidence of the umbilical cord being broken by the mother. It ruptured off. I think it's the same with most of the herbivores. I've never heard of them eating off the umbilical cord. Might be different with some of the cats, but I don't think so. So Majus Major, I'm not sure entirely, but I would say no. Largely, the umbilical cord ruptures of its own accord. You get that, Genre? Cord and accord in the same sentence. Fascinating discussion coming up here. Bethany, you're saying, well, are wildebeest the only antelope where the female has horns? The answer is no. in this area, they're one of the only ones. But if we include buffalo in the wider sort of example of antelope, buffalo females have got horns. And what we notice, of course, about that is that they are all above a certain mass. So what you find is that most animals above a certain mass will have horns, both male and female. There are exceptions. Eland are a noticeable exception. But you do get Krimsborg, for example, both have horns. Sable both have horns. Roan both have horns. And sable do both have horns, don't they? Yes, they do. And the question is why? Why should it be that those larger animals have got horns where the younger ones do not? At least the smaller ones do not. And I'm just going to try and remember the reason, because there's actually quite an interesting reason for it. As we pull off onto the Arathusa International Airstrip, where the rest of the wildebeest herd are grazing in sweet bliss with an open view of what any ever might be wanting to come and eat them. Let's just move in a little bit closer. Now, what I read was that animals that are above a certain size will often use their horns for defense against predators, whereas something like an impala or a steenbok, it's almost pointless because they're too small to try and fight off a predator, and so they've got much better chance just hiding, and therefore they don't have horns to fight off predators, but the males have horns simply to fight with each other. So in the case where the females have got horns, you can be sure that they are large enough to use them as a defensive mechanism against predators. Below a certain size, that becomes a waste of physiological energy. It becomes a waste for the body to produce those horns. And so impala, steenbok, duiker, kudu, bushbuck, nyala, all of them, which are smaller than wildebeest, have not got horns as females, and that's because the males use them only to fight with. And then, boundary straight in front of us, some pigs. Go. Some warthogs. And curious one, you're hoping for the same thing that I was when I pulled up onto this airstrip. You're hoping for some secretary birds. Well, I don't see any, but we'll drive down to the bottom of the airstrip and see if there aren't any that side. Let's go down and get a little bit closer to those pigs. Little sounder of warthogs. Also keep a lookout, everybody, for interesting birds. Now, I complained bitterly that many of you bothered to tell me whether the yellow-throated Petronia, which I showed you the other day, was part of your new bird list, or part of your bird list. Which I showed you the other day was part of your new bird list, or part of your bird list. And many of you then did let me know on Twitter, so thank you for that. And also the ostrich. But some of the other unusual birds that we might see along here would include some of the pipits. And the pipits, I love to say the word pipits, don't you, Jean-Ray? Pipit, try it. Pipits, you see, it's a good word, pipit. Some of the pipits, totally kind of non-indistinguishable brown lark-like birds, live in these open areas and can be very difficult to identify. So we'll keep an eye out for them. Just try and get Jean-Ray into a decent position here. He's quite fastidious about my vehicle positioning. Not very impressed with it at the moment. Yeah. That wasn't me. I didn't frighten them, Jean-Ray. That was the bird. So we have a sounder here of 2 sows and 3 youngsters, or 4 youngsters, which probably means that a few of the babies have met their end. And here's a great devourer of young warthogs and adult warthogs. So this is a normal sort of arrangement for warthogs, to have 2 sows, 2 or 3 sows. And again, just like the impala and the wildebeest, will like to be out in the open, A, because it affords them a view, and the wildebeest will like to be out in the open, A, because question of, well, you know, what sort of ecological role do these animals play? And the question is not a bad one, but it's more kind of a question of the other way round. A better way to phrase it would be, what sort of niche do these warthogs occupy? And they occupy a niche distinct from many of the other grazers. So they don't compete with many of the other grazers by eating much lower down to the ground, which means they pick out much shorter grass, and that hard cartilaginous snout of theirs is able to dig and take out rhizomes and underground root systems of grasses, which are very nutrient rich, but which many other animals are unable to get out of the ground. You can see them often grazing on their knees, just falling onto their knees there, despite the hardness of that stony ground. They've all got very distinct calluses on their knees. Let's go across to Sam, who's apparently doing something called planting it up. I don't know what that means.
Here we are, everyone. Sam Chevalier with Brian Jabert in the bushveld. We've had an interesting afternoon so far. Saw a scimitar bull, which couldn't locate again. We sat with some buffalo for a little bit and talked about the influence of a buffalo on an ecosystem and how it creates way more life than just itself out in the ecosystem. And now we're sitting here with plants, and I just want to talk a little bit about plants while we're here. I know that there was a tweet that came through. I've forgotten who that was, but thank you for bringing it up. I love plants. Plants are an integral part of my life. I really enjoy permaculture, and I remember Aqua was talking about aquaponics once. She sent me something on Twitter about how we can create feedback loops in aquaponics. So it's super fascinating. I'm in love with that kind of intelligence. It's using the natural world to make things more efficient and understand things a little bit better. So your tweets, everything that you send through is great. I'm learning the bushveld, happy to be here. But what am I holding in my hands, which is the better question. Here we have a bush willow, but more precisely what I want to do is just talk a little bit about what we're seeing here. You know, a plant. A plant is a lot more intelligence. It has a lot more intelligence than I've ever given it credit. And that came over time. You know, as I was a young man studying ecology, when I was at university, even when I was a kid, I never developed a strong relationship with plants just because it just wasn't something that was taught to me. But over my time reading many books and just spending time with the natural world and seeing how every single design is so different, it's just incredible. And I just want to sit here with the English name of it's a red bush willow. If I'm incorrect, please let me know. But I'm positive, just like my favorite friend, the positive squirrel, which we saw the other day. But over here, we can see that how interesting things are. And if we had this in the sunlight, let's see if I can, I'm going to try and get some sunlight onto it. You see on the sunlight, you can see significant parts of shading that's on the plant. Shading over there, shading on the side. And so what that tells us is that this plant is trying to maximize for the efficiency of sunlight that it's doing. So that is extremely intelligent, just because, you know, we are trying to maximize on the efficiency of things, whether it comes to solar panels and understanding how the natural design can make our life more efficient wherever we are in cities. And we know that we need to become more sustainable in our own lives, which is interesting. But to get more precisely onto the point, let's have a look at this plant a little bit more. Have a look at how it's closing over here. Over here you can see that the plant's closing a little bit. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Okay, I'm going to give you the answer this time, but when we go back out there and we're sitting with plants, I want to send you some more questions, and we're going to look and unravel the intelligence of the natural world. You can tell that, you know, that rain comes down and hits it, and it creates almost like a funnel type on the leaf as it bends it down towards the roots and then takes it all the way down to the bottom of the plant. So it's an exceptionally efficient design. Not only is it capturing different aspects of sunlight, you know, if we think about our solar panels and how our solar panels collect only one aspect of sunlight. How can we actually create aspects that are, you know, different directions and that sort of thing? And with that, you know, that's just one part of this little system that we can learn from. But more specifically, which I had over here somewhere, if we have a look at this plant, alrighty, just picking up a simple branch in the bush veld, which I'm actually not going to try to pick up because I might just hurt myself on these thorns. But look how intelligent this plant is in terms of creating these little sharp edges on it. It's incredible. These is what you call a mechanical defense. So this plant will learn and adapt to its conditions by defending itself with these hooks. You can imagine that if you're walking in the bush, often I hook myself on one of these branches and it's not the best feeling in the world. So this plant is going to defend itself from this aspect. And if we find a silver cluster leaf, has a much different form of defense. That form of defense is chemical. So what happens is that when you eat a piece of the leaf, you'll see that there's quite a lot of tannins in it, and your mouth just becomes so dry. I don't know if you've tasted it, Brian. Yeah, not the best tasting thing you'll ever have in your life. But if we come across a silver cluster leaf, I'll be very happy to show you all about it and have a look at it. So the natural world is full of intelligence. There's many things that we can learn from it. If you just sit, you know, you don't have to be in the bushveld to learn all these sort of things. You know, you can go outside your backyard and you can have a look at a plant, a flower. Why is the flower blooming in such a way? How is it collecting its sunlight? What birds are coming to it? I mean, I don't know if you have sunbirds where you live. Sunbirds are definitely one of my favorite birds. Well, just the design of birds, you know, it's one of my favorite designs, because if you have a look, they have such like long beaks that are able to go into a flower, and that allows the bird to collect all the pollen that it needs. So the design of the beak matches the design of the flower, which is just incredible. At the same time, you guys will all be very aware of the kingfisher. There's many different types of kingfishers that are out there. So I'm just looking for my earpiece. There it is, found it. And we're back, we're live. There are many different types of kingfishers, and we'll notice, well, we're going to a watering hole. Ooh, let's go see what James is doing. We'll come back. Hopefully we'll find a kingfisher by the river or by the watering hole. See you later.
There's a great consternation here with the wildebeest. They're just playing, I think. Some zebra appeared and then they started chasing each other around, dust flying everywhere, young ones going bow, bow, bow as they go. There we go. And this is, of course, very important for the youngsters, for coordination, for the adults, to keep supple, to keep their muscles up and, you know, not sort of sagging. Little warthogs in the background. Foreground, sorry, genre. It's close. Still more coming from behind. Just quickly move so that we've got a slightly better angle on them. Andre, is that right for you? Are you comfortable? That's quite fun, really, to see. And I suppose in places like East Africa, like I say, they are moving all the time. And so the necessity for evening exercise is probably not as important as it is here. I wonder if you can even hear maybe the clippity-cloppeting of their hooves. This is so great. Look at them move. Lovely softening light. And it's just the youngsters making the odd boo, boo noise. Ow. Stunning. What a great wildebeest sighting. Hope they're not on the airstrip, of course, when an aeroplane comes in. And one of the things that happens here is that if an aeroplane is coming in, someone has to come and check the airstrip. Because obviously it's no good trying to land an aeroplane with a herd of wildebeest blocking the runway. Right, that's the wildebeest. This is a veritable migration. Let's just quickly count how many we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 in the background, 26. I get 26. See what your count is, everyone. Let us know. I get 26. And then an interesting question about the taxonomy of a wildebeest and what family it belongs to. What I will do is just consult my book. You want to know if it is part of the bovine family. That's Joyce in New Hampshire. Joyce, it is part of the Bovidae, but the Bovidae is split into two subfamilies, and as far as I'm aware, it is then part of the Antilopenae, which is the subfamily that they all belong to. Let me quickly go and find this very clever taxonomic chart that I have while they run around. Yes, interestingly, they do belong to the Antilopenae. That is correct, yes. And what is quite fascinating is that, as I said, the Bovidae is the family that consists of the antelope and the buffalo, split into two subfamilies. One, the Antilopenae, which include all of the things that we can see over there, the impala and the wildebeest. Not obviously the pigs, the warthogs, but it does not include the buffalo, which belong to a separate subfamily called the Bovinae. And in that subfamily is the spiral-horned antelope. So the kudu, the nyala, the bushbuck, the bongo, and the, what am I leaving out? The eland. They belong to the different subfamily entirely. And that's quite interesting because I would have thought that a kudu would be much more closely related to an impala and a duiker than a wildebeest would, but that is not the case. Okay, the wildebeest have calmed down. The sun is beginning its inexorable sinking towards the west. Let's head into the sun. There are the zebra. I'm sorry, everybody, my comms with the final control are very bad at the moment. And so your questions are not coming through with great clarity. Rebecca, I'm afraid you're going to have to go again with that one. Sorry about that. Let's just have a look at these wildebeest. These are called zebra, I think, with stripy horses, aren't they? No, these are zebra, aren't they? M, you're in London. This was your question about the wildebeest and when they were running around. Why on earth were they bobbing their heads up and down? Was there some kind of specific reason for that? I don't think so. I think it's just the way they run. Of course, if they do ever have cause to use their horns, it will be with a bobbing head motion like that. So perhaps it's just warming up those strong neck muscles and stretching them out and making sure that they function properly. Really lovely herd of zebra, this. And off to the left of them, Gendry, if you don't mind, there's a young foal and 2 oxpeckers on the ground in front, which are providing great entertainment for the little zebra. The oxpeckers are having a dust bath. I love watching any bird having a dust bath, especially in the evening. It always means that the day is nearly done. It's a very young zebra, that. Probably only a month or 2 old. A whole conflagration of oxpeckers. And the dust bath, of course, helps them to get rid of parasites. It helps them, we think, to align the barbs and barbicels and barbules of their feathers. And that little zebra is going to be weighed down just now by the weight of avifauna clinging to its side. Look at the lovely way the dust is catching the light as it flies off. That is so cool. And that little zebra, I think, also getting very itchy from the number of bird claws sticking into his sensitive little zebra skin. You can see how fluffy he still is. That was the little yawn you saw there, everyone. Now, he too, at this time of the day, much like those young wildebeest, will be feeling a sense of playfulness and more perhaps thinking about having a bit of a gallop around the place. Almost broke into a trot there. But, of course, no other youngsters to play with. And so has to go to Dad. That's Dad there. And Dad says, "Go away, I'm busy eating." His ears flat back. "Please play with me, Dad." "Go away." "Just for a little while, let's just run a bit." "No, going to read my newspaper." So now he's going to try maybe a younger sibling. There we go, that's a sibling. He'll run with you. Now, Gracie, aged 8, you want to know about the bird list. You say you've got 13 on your bird list, and what are the rules, and is it possible, or do you have to see the bird? Well, yes, Gracie, you do really have to see the bird, or if I hear it and I point it out to you and you are very sure that you've heard what I heard, then you can put the bird on your bird list, Gracie. That's how birders around the world do it, so I don't see why it should be any different for us. Now, Gendre very kindly picked this flower for you today. He spotted it on the side of the road and he said, "Stop, stop, stop." I did so, and he picked it and he said, "Let's give this to Gracie." He's telling me that it's too close to the lens. How's that? Very pretty? Beautiful. And Gracie, it's got a really lovely smell. It smells like sort of saffron, I guess, a bit of saffron and a bit of jasmine mixed into that. So it's got a lovely smell, and it's quite closely related to that plant that we call the wild aniseed. It's the same family. There you are, Gracie. I don't know what it's called. I think it's a wild saffron of some kind. Beautiful. Right, let us carry on. The zebras do not appear to be having much of a play. Did you find out what, did you find out what planting is, everybody? Did you find out what Sam was doing, what planting was? I'm still fascinated to know. Aqua, an interesting one from you. What are the chances that this very little zebra, I'll stop again now, up here. What are the chances that that tiny little zebra over there is the one that we saw giving birth? No. Oh dear. Are the chances that it is the one we saw being born, not giving birth? Aqua, we're quite far from there, but it's about the right age. So I watched a little zebra being born about, what was it now? Probably almost 6 weeks ago now. And that's roughly the same size as it would be now. It's just quite far away from where it was born. It was born on quarantine clearings, and this is quite a distance from that. So, Aqua, it's not impossible. I just don't think it's, I I just don't think it's necessarily, you know, I wouldn't say for definite. I'm very irritated with those oxpeckers. And there is some very obvious scarring between the muzzle and the eyes of that zebra, and I don't, of course, we didn't see the zebra being born, that we saw being born in the light. We only saw it in the dark, so, I mean, even if there were very obvious distinguishing marks, we wouldn't know. He's very cute though, isn't he? Very sweet. Gabby, you say that it's been a long time since that I had a dust bath, like those oxpeckers, and you want to know if it's a good idea for me to show some of the viewers now how it's done. Gabby, it has been a while. Trying to think of a good excuse for not doing it. There are too many zebra here, Gabby. But if we find some dust, if I find some really good dust, then I will have a dust bath for you, I promise. The reason I had a dust bath last time was that we were at Buffelshoek Dam, and it wasn't just simply a case of having a dust bath. It was a case of the fact that I think I was telling the story about how much I enjoy the feeling. Oh, sorry, there's just some leopard tracks here. No, there aren't. How much I enjoy the feeling of sand on my skin, and so when I go to the beach, I swim in the sea or in the river, and then I lie in the sand, and so many people go, oh, but that's horrible, don't you hate the feeling of sand? Well, no, that's why I go to the beach. So I was demonstrating that at Buffelshoek Dam, and while I think about the feeling of sand on my skin, let's head across to Sam, who has ceased planting.
SafariLive.com.
We are back here in the savannah by Buffelshoek Dam, and we can see the very cool terrapins on top of the hippo just in the middle of the watering hole. These are it almost could be the exact two terrapins that we saw just the other day. It was myself and Brian. We couldn't have been anywhere, or we could have been in the exact same position, and off just to the right there was these big buffaloes that were fighting and knocking and hitting heads against each other just over there. It was incredible. And there are some more buffalo over there. Ooh, there's my head. It's in the way. You can tell those, it's not part of the breeding herd, so they're much older buffalo bulls here. And so they'll be sitting here after a long day, sitting in the watering hole. And there's a few oxpeckers that are on top of them. But there are many, many different things happening here at this watering hole, at Buffelshoek watering hole. We have some red-billed buffalo weavers, which is also something that we had a look at just now, which is just up here. In these nests, we saw them 2 days ago. Let's see if we can get a good shot of the red-billed buffalo weaver. There we go. Beautiful bird. Listen to that bird call. Wow. I heard a very interesting fact the other day that, well, I'm just going to let her call. Or him. I'm not too sure if it's a male or a female. But I heard a very, very interesting fact the other day about how we human beings got our animate, our expressive language from birds many, many years ago. That's where we got our expression from. We learned them from the birds. What are you saying? So what this buffalo weaver will be doing is going to be building these nests. Myself and Brian have been watching. We've been watching the buffalo weaver move in and out of the watering hole with twigs and sticking them in there. And it's almost like a big mansion of one male and many, many females. So he'll construct the best looking nest that he can. and all the females will come. And if he's made a good home here, all the females will come. So he's a lucky male, but that's a beautiful Balanites tree. If you know the scientific name of it, please hashtag Safari Live. Let us know what you know. If you know the scientific name of, oh, I nearly said it. The scientific name of this tree. It's a really, really beautiful tree. And you can tell a lot by looking at the tree. Have a look at it. If you look in the tree book, have a look at the type of leaf that it is. Have a look at the type of thorn that's on it. There's many, many different type of indications that you'll get. It'll teach you about the type of tree that we are looking at. But what we saw, oh, I think that's a blacksmith plover that just went over the, can you see it? There? Oof. That's the blacksmith plover that we see. So that's the blacksmith plover. And how we know it's a blacksmith plover, when we can hear that call. It almost sounds like metal hitting on metal. Dink, dink, dink. And that is the sound of the blacksmith plover. But earlier, wow, there we go. Oh, that's also a blacksmith plover. So we still had a blacksmith plover. But earlier we saw a pied wagtail. So let's just keep. Oh, is that a bird? That's the pied wagtail, everyone. That is another bird to our list. Is that a terrapin right in front of it as well? That's so cool. If you can look closely, I'm not sure if you can, but you can see those two little terrapins just in front of the pied wagtail. Very cool sighting. There he goes. You'll most likely find the pied wagtail along with these watering holes. I'm very, very, very familiar with his brother or cousin, the Cape wagtail, where I live in Cape Town. I often have the Cape wagtail coming to my house and drinking on some of the water there. And I just watch them for, ooh, you can hear these red-billed buffalo weavers are making quite a noise above us. There he goes, wow. Look at him fly. That's also a significant thing that we can look out for in a bird. It's the type of flight pattern that the bird has will tell us many, many different things about the bird. And here he is. If we have a look here on the top left. Beautiful looking bird. Hopefully in the future we can see if we can get a better sighting of this African pied wagtail. Wow. So that's everyone. That's the African pied wagtail. And, you know, I didn't write down the saddle-billed stork, which was silly because then I forgot to write it down today. So what I'm going to do right now, Brian, if you agree, it's a good idea, I'm going to write down pied wagtail in our book. And then we know what we've seen. And while I'm doing this, have a look at this beautiful evening out here in the Sabi Sands. As the sun dips into the west over the Drakensberg Mountains, which you can't see right now, but you can see some incredible cloud formations. Pied wagtail. So there goes the sun for this another beautiful day here at Juma. I've thoroughly enjoyed my time here so far as a new ranger for the WildEarth team. Yesterday I had such a privilege. Let's just watch the sunset. Just give it some time. It's a beautiful golden glow through the trees there. Awesome. So it's been another beautiful day, and I was just saying to Brian, I was so lucky to have seen Karula yesterday. and spent time with her. We're trying to be very, very careful with Karula at the moment, as we know that she's got cubs. So it's important not to, well, it's very important to be very cautious with her. But it was amazing to get to know her and learn a little bit more. I just want to thank the viewers for giving me some great feedback on the life and history of that beautiful leopardess. But going back, while we're here, well, let's have a quick look to see what James is up to on the African savannah this evening. We'll see you just now.
Look, everybody, there be the sun sinking slowly to the west. Now, I'm just going to quickly turn down the AM drive radio because it's ruining my sense of peace that is developing as a result of the sunset. Right, I want you to all do the following, please. Lean back on whatever you're sitting. If you're standing, don't lean back, you'll fall over and people will think you're odd. Close your eyes briefly and feel those last rays of sun touching your skin. It's a wonderful feeling. You might also, if you close your eyes and think very carefully, you might be able to feel a fly walking across your forehead. You can slap your forehead to get the fly off. That's just happened to me. Then I would like you to take a very deep breath in through your nose. You can smell a bit of leaf. You can smell a bit of dust. You can smell subtle smell of some of the flowers here, a little bit of sort of basil. Then you can open your eyes and you can look at the sun again. And you can hear the doves calling. You could also hear two impala rams behind us shouting at each other as they chase each other about the place. And that, everybody, is why we live out here. Not so, Gendry. Now, I'm just thinking that there might be something there that those impala could be shouting at rather than each other. Let's just reverse back, everyone. They're not sort of extending that alarm call with that roar, that throaty roar that they make when they chase each other. So I'm just going to reverse back and look. I'm 90% sure that they're shouting at each other rather than the Anderson male, in whose territory we now are. We're at the very far west of Arethusa right now. It would be wonderful if he came walking onto the road here. The impala were in this area, they moved off behind us. Andre, do you see a large male leopard walking through here anywhere? Let's just stop here and have a bit of a listen. We'll have another look at the sun. See, I framed it for you in those trees there. You see that, John?
And the aerial.
And the aerial, but there's the aerial I can do nothing about. And Jess, you say that that little sort of appreciation of the sunset was the most relaxed that you felt all day. I'm very glad. That was the general intention. And I hope for all of you, especially our younger viewers and like Gracie, I hope that you will one day feel the rays of an African sunset on your face. It's like drinking gold. Not so, Jean-Marie. see any evidence of a large male leopard emerging from the tree line. This is wonderful. While we're sitting here, drinking in that golden sunset, Gerda and Natalie, you say that you'll be doing precisely this. In less than a month's time, you'll be in the Kruger. Oh, that's really exciting. I'm so glad for you. You must be beside yourself with excitement. That's a very nice frame, Jean-Andre. Well done. Good job. That's 2 compliments I've paid you in one day. I feel I've been much less abusive than normal. 2 compliments, everyone. Okay, let's go on. Bit of a bounciness there. Just keep an eye out inside here. Up in the trees. I've yet to see the Anderson male, everyone. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Anderson male, of course, is the big male leopard on the western fringes of where we traverse. Now, this is the very western boundary we're coming up to there. You can see a T-junction. We're going to turn north because we're now on the very western boundary, as evidenced by the sun, which, of course, goes down in which direction, Jean-Ray? No, not the north. No, in the west. Luck. Better luck next time. So that's obviously west over there. Andre always does that. Brian gives me the correct answer. Oh, that's pretty, isn't that lovely? And Tingana does extend this far to the west, but there's a little bit of overlap here. And as Mvula has become more and more decrepit over the last little while, so Tingana has pushed further east into his territory, and the Anderson male has expanded a little bit further west here. He's apparently, by all accounts, a very large male indeed. Let's go to Sam. He's at the water hole.
Thanks.
Excellent job.
Ciao. Hello everyone, welcome back to the watering hole that we've had such a great time at. It's been quite an interesting little experience that I just had here. I had quite a few guests that were sitting in a vehicle just next to us, listening in on the whole thing, and you know, they really enjoyed it, which was cool. But I must say, I was quite nervous, to say the least. But what is there to be nervous about? You know, the bush is an open place to experience, and all people that are here are trying to learn a little bit more about the world that they live in, just as we were trying to do with you, all together. Leo King is asking about the frogs. That is a very, very good question. I haven't been hearing them much either, but they do come out as the evening comes. And yeah, I actually spent time yesterday with a frog. It was a paddle, I think it was a paddle frog, something paddle frog. Beautiful. It must have been about this big. Incredible design of this frog. And you know, Leo King, I'm going to do my best to see if we can not only hear the sound of a frog, but see if we can see one. So on our way, on our stroll back this evening, we'll do our very best to see if we can find one. But with that, there's one very, very quick thing that I wanted to say, and I know, you know, so what I'm trying to do is, you know, learn about what I've learned in academia to bring it into the real experience of life. You know, just, you know, I think academia must contribute to the experience of learning, and not just be an end in itself. To understand academia through the natural world will help us to understand it better. You know, it's anything like walking a leopard. You'll understand how to track a leopard when you walk it, not through reading a book. So with that, I want to try and just say, you know, with the natural world, as we were saying a little bit earlier, you know, you're learning about all these designs, and all these designs can teach us many, many different things. And just even in our own lives, you know, how do we start to understand those sort of things, like feedback? Feedback is a very, very important thing in our lives. And this plant will be feeding back on itself. You know, it's called a feedback loop, so it'll learn, and that's how in which it will create designs that are more efficient, is through learning, experiencing, and improving. And just like this job, you know, with everyone from the cameraman to the director, everyone is going to be giving me feedback, and they're going to be helping me improve the experience better for everyone out there. So just in context about learning about the natural world, feedback's an exceptionally important thing. And just with that, look at that sunset. It's a magnificent day. It's been great to come back and look at those terrapins that are out there. Eh? Wow, those so cool that they're chilling. And you can actually see the head of the hippopotamus over there. Team Terrapin. I think our team name, hey? That's our team name, eh, Brian? Team Terrapin. We are Team Terrapin. That's so cool. I like that name. Because there's actually 2 terrapins on top of the hippo's back. I actually got a funny Instagram the other day of that very picture of the 2 terrapins, and yeah, it just made me laugh because someone wrote "vroom vroom" underneath, as if, you know, the hippo was taking the terrapin on a little boat ride across the watering hole. How funny! But the light is starting to dim. You can start to see the change in pressure and temperature. It's starting to get cold, and with that, I'm going to put on my beanie. For some reason, my ears get really cold when I'm out in the bushveld, so I often have to wear a beanie. That's why you'll notice me wearing a beanie. Jess is asking, how are the stars at night where we are at? The stars at night where we are at is just incredible. So I just want to get a little bit comfortable out here. Are incredible, really. Man, I love stars so much. That's something that I hope that in the future I'll be able to talk more about. That's definitely one of my biggest passions, is to be able to look out into the night sky and learn a little bit more about the world that lives outside of us, all those different stars. And so we've got Orion's belt that's out at the moment. It's actually going to be dipping into, I think it's the west. It'll be dipping into the west, and we'll have the Scorpio arising out from the east. It's my 2 favorite constellations. You know, there's a significant star called Antares, which I think is the heart of Scorpio, which is a red giant. It's such a magnificent star. And it's actually it's flickering red. And the reason why it's called a red giant is because it's actually coming towards the end of its life, and it gets bigger as it gets red. So when a star gets old, it grows bigger and bigger until eventually it'll create a supernova. Boom, supernova. And from a supernova is a black hole. And then, yeah, so we can obviously go into a little bit more depth about supernovas, black holes, and all those sort of things in the future. But yeah, I'd love to talk more about stars. Do you guys love stars? Please let me know. I would love to know your favorite constellations. What would you like me to point out if I can? What else would you like me to teach you? If you'd like me to teach you. We're out here together, out here to learn together. And with that, I'm going to see if we can find us another bird for the evening. Let's see what James is up to. Ooh, you're going to stay with me. You're not going anywhere. Actually, you're going to stay with Sam and Brian, the Terrapin team. So hop on our... Actually, we can actually be called... This is the hippo, huh? Hey, Brian? Yeah. Rusty's the hippo, and me and Brian are the terrapins, and we are going to be taking you over this watering hole. As I was saying a little bit earlier, the nights will bring a whole host of different characters to the daytime. The daytime, you see the diurnal animals. Nighttime, you're most likely going to see some of the other animals. Much easier to see flat-necked chameleons, just see scrub hares. I really love rabbits and scrub hares. I don't know why, I really love seeing scrub hares. So hopefully we can see a scrub hare a little bit later. We can see other night animals like genets and civets. Oof, I'd love to see a civet. I once saw a civet sitting on the top of a knobthorn tree. A spectacular sighting. sorry, this beanie is very uncomfortable. I'm actually just going to take it off. So, I haven't been to Cheetah Plains yet. I'm very excited to go to Cheetah Plains when I get the opportunity to. I'm sure you all get to go on the hippo, the terrapins and the hippo, off to Cheetah Plains and see if we can find a cheetah out on that landscape. Ooh. Have a look at the crested francolin right in front of us. Look at that prominent white brow of the crested francolin. We saw the crested francolin a little bit earlier. There he goes. Such beautiful birds. They're all such beautiful creatures. Everything is really has its own magnificent intrinsic beauty. Really do. And just have a look at this crested francolin as he picks. What's he eating there? It looks like he's eating part of it. Not grasses. He's picking on the grasses there. Now, I know I keep saying I have many different favorite animals. Like, to be honest, I don't have anything in specific that I truly love more than the other, as everything always inspires me in a different way. And what inspires me a lot in an animal that I would love to see one day is a caracal. I don't know if any of you guys have seen a caracal. I haven't seen a caracal, and it is the one animal that I would so love to see, just because when I look at a picture of a caracal, I find it such a beautiful, just the way in which its ears are shaped and the fur on top of its ear. And a caracal will eat a crested francolin. It'll be crawling through the bushveld. We would never know. And slowly it would listen with its ears. And often with that fur on top of the caracal's ear, it'll feel for the flight of the bird, and that'll help it catch the bird as it tries to get away from the caracal. I've never seen that before, and that would just be a spectacular sighting. And a caracal can jump so high. If that crested francolin tried to jump and get away from the caracal, you would see it just leap, come out into the air and try to grab it with its claw. Sometimes it drops it like this. I mean, I've only seen it on some documentaries on caracals jumping, and they can jump what looks to be over 2 meters high. So that is something, a natural phenomenon that I would love to see one day. Ooh, I startled the francolin. So there are going to be many different types of other creatures of the night. The birds that are in specific. What other birds do you know that like to come out at night time here in Djuma? Everyone that sits on a dam cam at night time and they notice a certain bird that goes there or anything like that, please hashtag Safari Live. I would love to know and learn a little bit more about what you've seen here in the past. What have you seen here? I know the one bird that has the most incredible call is just the nightjar. The big eyes. If we drive slowly and we get our torch out a bit later, we can spot to the road, see if we can see a nightjar. Senior Gold is asking, if I'm correct, is asking that she wants to know about the hippo. Are hippos loners? That's right, are hippos loners? No, and it's really interesting. We can talk a little bit about the social structure. Let's go this way. Oof, look at those colors as we drive onto that road. Wow, let's just sit here for a second and just admire that beauty. I don't think I've ever seen a sunset in my life that I was unimpressed by. Those reds and different colors that come out. I mean, whoever you are in the world, looking at a sunset, we're all connected to that beauty, eh? And it always makes such an impact on one's life when you sit at a sunset or a sunrise. But let's go back to the question of the hippo. The hippo has a very, very interesting social structure. You'll find with hippos, as hippos are within their social families, the males are not territorial on the land. They're actually very territorial in the watering holes, and you'll start to hear them in the evenings. They will make the sound, and that's almost like each male hippo going, "This is my watering hole. This is my watering hole." You can hear them inside there. And you hear all the males doing that, from basically telling everyone that this is their territory in the watering holes. And the females will choose accordingly to which male has got the best access to a resource. So with most social structures out here in the bush, you'll find that the females will go to the males that can provide the most for them in terms of availability of food and water. So that's what we'll find in terms of that sort of social structure. But at night time, you'll often find that they go out on their own and on their loneliness, and they'll go and graze in the grass. And I'll quickly, I mean, there was a beautiful story about how the hippo actually managed to get off the land. It was said that the hippo used to graze on the land during the day, and it was getting so hot during the day, it was like, "I want to go to the watering hole. I'm tired of this heat." He went and spoke to the guards. He said, "Please, please, can I go into the water? I'm literally burning. I'm burning and burning, and I just cannot take this heat anymore." And the guards said to him, "Mr. Hippo, you're just going to eat everything. If you go look at the size of your teeth. If you go into that watering hole, you can eat everything." So they weren't very impressed with the idea of letting the hippo in, but the hippo said, "You know what, I won't eat any of the fish, not one fish. I'll come in there, I'll just chill during the day, spend some good relaxing time in this watering hole, and then I'll get out and I'll start grazing on the grass. And I'll show you in my dung, to spray my dung every single day, I'll show you that I have no fish bones in my dung." So that was just it's an interesting bushman's story of, the way in which hippos are on the land. So with that, let's move on. Let's carry on and see what we can see. Got another watering hole just over here. And ooh. Matt, I keep using the word bushveld. That's correct. Thank you for highlighting that. Bushveld is basically the woody area, type of. It's a saying to say that it's lots of woodland, savanna and woodland. So that is the direct translation of a bushveld. Yeah, so. Wow. So you can feel that it's changing now. It's getting a lot cooler. It's been a fantastic few days. We've seen so much. And we are now currently on Drakensberg Road. So I'm slowly but surely learning more and more about the bushveld. Well, not the Djuma and all the different roads that are here. I'm going to make my way to Cheetah Plains when I can and learn those roads and learn, I think it's called Triple Pan, three pans. This is a very productive area that will bring us lots and lots of beautiful things to have a look at. So I'm very excited to traverse. I haven't even been to Arathusa. I've just been learning the roads here, learning a little bit more about ecology and trying to broaden my knowledge of this area. It's been fantastic. It's been challenging, but everything in life is a challenge, so it's good to keep pushing challenges in one's life. But I'm seeing seeing a lot of tracks ahead of us, but they're small little tracks. Let's have a look. See, it's actually a little bit too dark to see these small tracks, and I'm trying to figure out what they are. It'll be too dark for me to show you. Wait, there's a nice track. Ooh, that's a leopard track. All right. Which, can you see? Let me see, get it in a good position. Let's have a look at these tracks, everybody. You can see these tracks here. I'm not sure if... Can you see them? No, we can't see them. The vehicle's a little bit too close. But while we're here, while we're out here, does anyone know what this is? Can you see that? Yep. Awesome. Hashtag Safari Live, what is this? It is one of the small 5. Do you know what it is? If you know what it is, please hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarth TV, and we can learn a little bit more about what it is. They dig, I'll give you a clue, they dig little holes in the ground and they sit there and they wait for little ants to come down. Ooh, I just gave half of it away. I'm not going to give you the other half, but I've given you one half. So there's a track here. I'm going to see if I can just get it into a better position to show you that track. Just got to plug in my audio, and I'm back. So the little 5, you get the big 5, which is the lion, the buffalo, the elephant, the rhino, and what is the last one? Have a look at those tracks. The leopard. That's exactly what I wanted to do with that track there. You'll notice with tracks, and I'm going to show you a little bit of pictures now. Leopard tracks are very significant, and they'll show you certain things. From here, it looks like, with a leopard track, and why this is quite difficult to see is because it doesn't look very fresh. And with a leopard track, which I'm going to show you now, you see it's very, very different. Well, not very different. Let's have a look here. Let's work and see if we can work together here. Have a look here. So let's have a look at these tracks here and then go back to that track so that we can learn and work together. Over here is our leopard track. What you can see here very significantly are the 3 lobes at the back of the track. That is a very, very prominent thing that you see from a leopard. When you see the lion track, you also see 3 lobes. But it's significant that this little part here will tell you a lot about that it's a lion. And it's also, when you see a lion track, it's just much bigger. It's very, very easy to see. But before Brian comes out, that one is a spotted hyena. So it can be mistaken sometimes. But what you've got to look for here is that one toe that comes out a little bit and that lobe that comes out there. And if you know what kidney beans are, I often used to eat kidney beans as a kid. It almost looks like a kidney bean to his side there. That's the way I used to learn the spotted hyena. But with that, thank you very much, Brian, for getting nice and close there. With that, let's go back to the track. Wow. Wow. Wow, so that could be a track of a leopard. Let's see what we can find. We're going to go a little bit forward. Well done for knowing that it is an antline. Impressive. We'll see you a little bit later, and we're going to follow these tracks.
I frightened that vulture, everybody. It was sitting on a tree just up ahead here, perfectly framed. Jean-Andre spotted it. I spotted it too late, and I'm afraid I frightened it away. I'm very sorry. Jean-Andre is shaking his head while eating a banana. Okay, we lost signal for a while, everyone. We were at the far western side of Arethusa, and Jigger, of course, has not been there for some time, so we weren't really sure if we were going to have good any signal there. But what I'm going to show you actually have. Check this out. This is what we saw, and I took this picture with my phone, and it was then edited very cleverly by Jean-Andre on an app that he told me to download. And you can see in the bottom there is a hippopotamus. And it was just a very idyllic little scene that we tried desperately to show you, but unfortunately Jigger had different ideas and didn't want to show it to you at all. We'll try and sort that out when we get back. Anyway, we're driving along the Marikeni drainage line now. We're about to pop out Red Dam, which is, well, it's a giant hole in the ground, really. I don't know why it's red. I've never seen anything red there. That's a pipe. I don't know what it's doing there. We'll put on some lights now. There we go. Another light. One seems to be shining off a very strange angle. Hello, Tim Brooks. I was casting aspersions on Cape Tonians, Jean-Andre and Sam in particular. And you say if people from Cape Town are called Cape Tonians, what are people from Johannesburg called? What can you see, Jean-Andre? A heron. Okay, bird flying away. Gone. Well, Tim Brooks, someone from Johannesburg is alternatively called various things. Well, how would you refer to it?
A Joe burger.
A Joe burger would be one way. They do call us Gauties as well sometimes. A Vali. A Gautie, of course, is someone from Gauteng province, which is the more modern version of a Vali, which is from the old Transvaal province. Yes, Joe burger, I suppose, would be the most appropriate term for someone from Johannesburg. Anyway, just listening to the radio here and not hearing much. There's a fellow coming out of the bushes. Any luck in there?
Oh.
Ah, cool. Thanks. An elephant planes vehicle. I just saw them emerging from the bushes, hoping that they were looking at the Anderson mail, but they weren't. They were looking at an elephant, which we've seen, and it's now getting dark, so I'm not going to go blasting in there after it. Anyway, like I said, we lost signal, but we're heading back east now. We're about to hit the Triple M break, which is the boundary between Juma and Arethusa. Then we will see what we can find there. A little bit of kicking through. There was some warthog running there. I just heard something running, and it was some warthog, which you unfortunately will not be able to see. Now, it's odd. We will soon plug our spotlight in. I think that sorry, this thing is just going ballistic in my ear. I'm going back onto the Juma channel to be a lot quieter. The reason it's going ballistic, of course, is because they have been doing shadow, and Cabo, so about 450,000 people have been asking for updates on it, because they're all obviously very interested asking how that leopardess is doing with her babies, and so far the update is that they're doing absolutely fine. So that's good news. With any luck, we'll be viewing them very soon as well. Them and their cousins. Ah. Hello, Gracie, again. You'd like to thank Jean-Andre for picking you the flower. Well done, Jean-Andre. Jean-Andre is smiling. He says it's his pleasure, Gracie. And you also wanted to let us know that you helped your mum plant a rose bush today in honour of your friend Matthew, who went off to a better place, a greater light, a little bit, well, almost a week ago now, Gracie. Thank you for that little update. Right, here we are on the Triple M break. We must watch out for departing staff transport vehicles, which are liable to run you down if you're not very careful. Andre, I think I'm also going to plug the spotlight in. If that's all right, I'm going to leave you to entertain the viewers for the next little while. Andre, maybe you could sing them your song about the banana in the ear. Would you like to do that? No?
Would you join me, James?
That's all right, I'll really plug the spotlight in. There is no need for us to sing the song about the banana in the ear. Are we really going to sing it? Right, everybody, while we're on this road, we will sing Put the Banana in Your Ear. This is a song without any musical merit whatsoever, but it was taught to me by Jean-Andre on our way to Nelspruit one day when we were lost in the communities. Okay. Jean-Andre, you start off, I'll join you.
Shall we just do the chorus, James?
No, I only know the put a banana in your ear bit.
Yeah, there's the chorus.
Yes. Bring a banana in your ear. Put a ripe banana right into your very ear. It's true, so true. When you're down and feeling blue, put a banana, put a banana, put a banana in your ear. Banana song. And I will be embarrassed about singing it till the day that I leave this planet. You, Andre? Right, we're now into the area around about where there were lots of male lion tracks today, and nobody found, of course, any sign of the male lion. Well, Brett did. He found some tracks, and he thought they were chasing buffalo, but we didn't find them. And Deborah, you wanted to visit the hyenas today, but I'm afraid we've got a bit late for that now. But certainly, I think in the morning that would be a good idea. I can't go there now. We don't want to put a light on them yet. They're still a bit little. So once they leave the den, we're happy to light up the hyenas, but at the moment we're not going to. So yes, I'm afraid not today. We'll go there tomorrow at some stage, I hope. Right, we're into the kind of night drive, the changing of the guard. The sun has gone down, and with any luck, we will find some creatures of the night. And I know we often go through a list of those creatures as the night goes on, and we find less and less, and so we need to find things to talk about. So we tell you about the things that we might see. And we might see chameleons. We might see buffalo. We don't want to shine on them too much. More diurnal animals. Might also hopefully see one or two butterflies, because apparently there are a few inquiries about them. You can perhaps in the background hear the sound of revelry. A group of guests has stopped for a drink not far behind. Sounds like it isn't their first drink of the day. There's a buffalo. He, of course, will probably rest for much of this night Oh, you'll probably have a bit of a graze while there's a little bit of light left, and then he'll find a bush to lie under, and he will be very aware around here. He's not in a very clever area, because this is where the lion tracks were. And we reckon those lions were chasing buffalo this morning. Brent did. He heard the buffalo running. He heard them bellowing alarm calls. Sorry, old fella. Good luck tonight. My goodness, you're going to start putting that song as a ringtone. Well, if you wanted to use that song as a ringtone, I suppose that's okay. There are many things in music that are inexplicable. Many of the hits today I can't really define as music, so I mean, I'm glad that you enjoyed Put a Bunana in Your Ear. Andre, who originally wrote Put a Bunana in Your Ear?
Jason Steele.
Jason Steele. Unsurprisingly, none of you have ever heard of him. Did he do anything else other than Put a Bunana in Your Ear? Or was that his one-hit wonder?
He did the Charlie the Unicorn theme song.
Charlie the Unicorn theme song. Okay. Would you like to give that one to us? Yes?
I'm afraid I can't sing the last one.
Well, you'll have to teach it to me. We can perform it the next time we drive around at night, finding nothing. Now, the butterfly that we can hope to see at night, of course, is the minty green African migrant, which is easy to spot because it is luminous in the wash of the spotlight. Oh, no, that's not one. The other creatures we could see, of course, include the African civet, the two species of genet that we get here. Never seen them here. Civet, never seen. Lots of tracks. African wildcat, never seen. Lots of tracks.
I've seen civet and genet.
You have? Oh, well done. I have seen a genet. I talk rubbish. I've seen genet. Serval. I have seen serval, yeah. And the reason that we don't see a great number of these things is not because Juma is deficient in them. Their tracks evidence us in the morning, but it's because we're only out sort of after dark for only about 20 minutes, half an hour. So I think we've probably got about 30 minutes left of the drive. And those 30 minutes, of course, are when it goes from darkish to pitch black, whereupon the creatures of the night will emerge. And we don't currently have the camera equipment that can film in the dark without kind of a lot of grain and that sort of thing. But we might be lucky. We're also in the area where those buffalo are being chased by lions, so with any luck we'll spot them around here somewhere. Not so, Jean-Dre.
Quite so.
Otherwise, Jean-Dre will teach us all Charlie the Unicorn's theme song by Jason Steele, an unsurprisingly poverty-stricken musician. Where is he from?
He's an animator.
He's an animator and film director. It's a good thing that he has many things that he can do. Is he South African?
No.
Is he American? I hate to admit this, but I do find myself singing the Put a Bunana in Your Ear song when I'm wandering about. Let's go across to Sam. I'm not sure if he's left the water hole yet, but we'll carry on looking for the lions around here.
We are back in the bush, and I heard you guys have been singing a fun song about bananas, hey? That sounds great. Something about bananas in the ear, hey? Wow, I'd love to hear it when I go back. I'll ask some more to sing it for me. James, fantastic. In my hand, I'm holding a whole host of different things. So, what am I holding? What is Sam holding? Cherupin team have been out looking for some different plants that we can have a look at. And in my hand we have You know, some very interesting plants. I'm just going to stop for a second so Brian can get a good look at them. I'm going to switch off. So we have, much like you get wine tasting, and you get different types of tasting, I'm going to put it on the mantelpiece like this, so it's actually a lot easier for Brian. Oh, my hand is a shaky hand. Look at it. Come on. So, what are the 3 different things we have here? I'm not going to say the name of them. I would like you to hashtag Safari Live what you think the one on the left is. What leaf do you think that is? I'm going to put it over there. What leaf is that one? And then the second one, number 2. What tree does this come from? A very interesting bird called the chin spot batis really likes this pod. And number 3. What is this? What is this? So please hashtag for Safari Live or questions at WildEarth TV. Email that, questions at WildEarth TV. What is number 1? What is number 2? And what is number 3? But as I said, we're having almost like a wine tasting over here. Not a wine tasting, but a tasting in general of the plants, because you know, we've had an interesting day so far, and I feel like plants has been a very interesting topic of the day. And each of these plants have a very interesting dynamic to it, a different taste, if you will. The first one over here, I'm going to have a little taste of it over there. So the clue to this one, it's tasty, it's nice, I quite like it. And sometimes you'll grow it in your garden. That's kind of what it tastes like. I've grown loads of it when I was at university. I love to grow it. I'm actually going to have another one because it's so nice. The second one, I'm not going to eat, but I'll give you a clue to what it was used for back in the day. Sometimes it was used as a substitute for coffee. So there's a little bean inside there. If we open it up and we get the bean out and we start crushing the bean, we can actually use it as a substitute for coffee. So I'm not going to try and eat this one, because it's, you know, obviously we have to drink coffee, not eat the bean. Well, you can. Some people like eating coffee beans. And the one on the right, the infamous, I'm not going to give you the name. Last clue. Let's see what happens when I eat this one.
Holy, really good.
Oh, jeepers. I regret doing that. I need to drink water. Don't worry, it's not poisonous. It does something else to your mouth that's not very nice. Blah. Yeah, so those are our 3 little tasting. We had a little tasting in the evening before we go and see some of the night animals. If you know what each of them are, please will you hashtag Safari Live and let us know what you think. Number 1 it was, number 2 was, and number 3. Wow, so the night, let's get our little thing out. See if we can find anything. I want to see if we can find us a flap-neck chameleon. Over here quickly, just to show you. Have a look at that grass. Woo. This is finger grass. Very, very significant plants out here. Finger grass. I just like doing that. It's quite cool. It's the finger grass. Let's carry on. Sometimes we're going to have a look out now for animals and see if we can find a civet. Sometimes you can find civets sitting up in the top of knobthorn trees. So we're going to have a look at the top of knobthorn trees. Maybe we'll have the amazing opportunity of being able to watch or see a civet in a tree. Wow. The night is a different place. So Ryan was telling me that it is possible to see a chameleon on a piece of grass. That is incredible. I'm going to keep a lookout to see if I can find. Heidi says that number 3 was a silver cluster leaf. That is correct. And I was quite against actually eating the silver cluster leaf. But you know what, if I'm such a fan of experiencing things and showing direct experiences in order to learn, I had to show you what my face looked like when I tried to eat it, it really wasn't that nice. So well done, Heidi, you got that. Silver cluster leaf. All right, you've got something in the tree with James. We will see you just now.
Well, yes, there is something in the tree. Very beautiful last embers of the day fading there to the western sky. But there's a bush baby. There are 2 bush babies in there. And I can see their bright eyes because I'm just behind the light, but you can't. They're just in that very thick bush. And they're jumping down. Let me go, I promise they're there. Let me go forward and see if we can't get a better look. There are 2 of them. Being very clever. Remember, you'll get in there. You zoom in there, you'll get in.
Backward. Yeah.
Yeah, there you got him. There, 2 of them, everybody. Look at that. Sweet. 2 little primates, bush babies. Isn't that sweet? They're tiny, everyone. They're probably the size of a large rat. Well, not a First World War trench rat, but a sort of decent-sized house rat. They're not rodents, of course, though. They are primates. And if ever there was an animal out here that gave you the idea that you'd like to hug it or cuddle with it, this is it. It is like a little bear, a fluffy teddy bear. And what they'll be looking for now is insects. There are still lots of insects around because it's still quite warm. Lots of flowers for the insects to be eating. So that's what they'll be looking for. And of course, insects, underneath the keratin and chitin that makes up their exoskeletons, a lot of them are very rich in fats. And if you are little like this, then you've got a very high metabolic rate, and you need to maintain that by eating very rich foods. And fat, of course, is a brilliant fuel if you've got a very high metabolic rate. That's why so many little things will eat either insects or seeds, both of which have got oils and fat in them that plants do not. And in the background, you can probably hear a fiery-necked nightjar. Saying, "Good Lord, deliver us," giving rise to its name, the litany bird. These chaps are being particularly nervous about moving. Of course, they can jump like a gummy bear. If you don't know what a gummy bear is, have a look. On the internet, you will find one of the greatest songs, I feel, of all animated films. Much better than "Put a Banana in Your Ear," as sung by Jean Ray and I about 20 minutes ago. Okay, let's leave them to go into the night looking for insects and things to eat. We're heading up towards the northern boundary. We didn't find any lion tracks. We saw Ephraim from Cheetah Plains now. He was having a drink with his guests in a clearing there, also probably hoping for the lions, but certainly hasn't heard of them or seen any sign of them over the course of the evening. There are some impalas up ahead, so we'll just kill the lights so that they don't feel quite so threatened. They're exactly like the deer of North America and possibly also Europe. They are sort of stunned by light and they will run into it. Zoe, an interesting one from you, and yes, there is, as far as I'm aware. It's just another impala. Zoe, you want to know if there's a relationship between the tamarin and the bush baby? Yes, there is. I mean, it's a fairly distant one. A tamarin is, as far as I remember, a primate. But out here, the bush babies are in a distinct sort of subfamily of their own. So there's the great bush, there's the thick-tailed bush baby, the lesser bush baby, and there are a couple of other species of bush baby that you find up further north in Africa. Laurie in California, you are really testing me here. Watch out around there with the bush. You want to know how many babies a bush baby has? A bush baby normally has 2 babies, if I'm not mistaken. I read that the other day, I think. How long they nurse for, I couldn't tell you, but I don't suspect that it's much more than a month. They're very little, which means their life cycle happens pretty quickly. And so I would say probably about a month, and it's 2 babies, and they disperse. What is that? Oh. They disperse much like all the other primates do, with the males going off on their own and the females staying around in their natal group. Lots of shining eyes. Velma, you want to know what their structure is? Do they live in groups? They do live in the
Leaving on Thursday. Okay, sorry. You saw a bush baby. So lucky. I've never seen a bush baby before. What was it like? Was it cool? It must have been epic. I'm very lucky to see a bush baby. I'm very excited to see one day, especially with you all. You are probably going to jump out of the vehicle with joy. But maybe we can find one now if we look and we spot hard enough. It's been a fantastic day, really. We've seen so much, we've talked about so much. We've eaten plants that aren't very tasty and some that are very tasty. I think it was Heidi that got the silver cluster leaf. Well done. Dylan. Number 2, bush willow. That is correct. It is a bush willow, but there needs to be another part to that. So you got it pretty much 3/4 there. Ooh, what's that? It's a little steenbokkie. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's cool, hey? Steenbokkie at night time. We're not going to shine it at the steenbok because it's not nice. They don't like it. But I couldn't see what it was for a second. Beautiful little steenbok. Oh, sorry. Number 2 was a russet bush willow. Russet bush willow, otherwise known as Herionce. Yes. That comes from a tribe in Kenya. Herionce. So, it is called a russet bush willow, the second one. All we're looking for now is number 1. And I'll give you another clue to number 1 was it tasted like spinach. That's what, number 1 tasted very much like spinach. And I often, so that's the best kind of hints I think I can give you. The trees have a mechanical defense. Chelsea from Utah is asking, what is a plant that if you eat it actually gets rid of like hunger. It helps you to get full again, and I think it is the number one. You know, I definitely think number one will do that. But okay, that gives. I was about to give the answer away by saying something. They've got their thorns. Okay, so the scientific name is called Ziziphus macronata. Number one, it is Ziziphus macronata, which means buffalo thorn. It was a buffalo thorn, everyone. It's almost like eating spinach. So that's what it was. Number one was a buffalo thorn. Number two was a russet bush willow. And number three was the silver cluster leaf, which was an interesting one to eat. I wouldn't recommend trying to eat that if you were hungry. Don't do that. Just dry your mouth out. My mouth's still very dry. When I get back to camp, I'm going to drink a lot of water. But I enjoyed doing it. It was fun. So when looking for a bush baby, we need to look for the eyes in the tree. Often the eyes will give them away. And with a flat-necked chameleon, you'll see like a different coloration. Almost looks like a leaf that's a different color when you see a flat-necked chameleon. Not very easy to see, but you just got to try and get that 20/20 vision to see it. Have I been trained at spotting at night? Was the question. I have not been trained in spotting. What actually used to happen, so when I used to go out on game drive, especially at night time, you know, I've only really ever gone out with with my tracker. He used to sit up in the front seat over there, over here, and he used to have the spotlight, and he used to look for all the game that was out there while I was sitting with my guests, talking about the sort of things that my tracker used to, as a team, the tracker used to see. And he was remarkable. It was incredible. He used to be able to spot everything in seconds. So I'm slowly building that, you know. It takes time, you know. Once you come to the bush and you start to learn a little bit more about the bush, how things are different, and that's how you learn. So over the couple of months while I'm with you and while I'm learning here with you, while we're with Karula, when we at the watering hole, I'm going to start understanding this bushveld a little bit better. So I look forward to the many sightings that we're going to see at night time together. And with that, I just want to say thank you very much for today. It's been incredible. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Starting off with those buffaloes and ending off at the watering hole with that beautiful African pied wagtail. Very exciting stuff. Thank you very much, Brian. You've been amazing. Thank you, Mr. Brian Stum. You had such a cool hairstyle today, Mr. Brian Stum. And thank you very much, Rebecca and Geraldine behind in the director's room. Thank you to the whole team. James, you're a legend. I'll see you guys all tomorrow morning. Sleep well or have a great day. Cheers for now.
Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. High adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. They are the gummy bears. We remembered it, everybody. That's how the Gummy Bear theme song goes. So you don't have to Google it after all. We've given it to you. That's it. The Gummy Bears, which reminds me deeply of Friday afternoons. I always knew it was time for the weekend when the Gummy Bears came on TV on Friday afternoons. Elephants, we're not going to stop them. We'll just quickly sweep the light over them, just to show you where they are. Sorry, there they are. And that's the same herd we saw earlier, that's the same four. We're quite a long way from where we saw them, and we're just not too far from camp. So they've come away, probably to drink at the Gallagher waterhole, which pumps, of course, clean water compared to Treehouse Dam, which is near where they were, which is now, of course, very muddy indeed. We have seen nothing further since we lost signal with you last, I'm afraid. Plugged in, John, right? Yeah, yes. Just checking. It's a lovely warm evening, which I have to say is semi-unusual for this time of the year. It can be quite chilsome around about now, and some of the mornings have had a little bit of a nip in them, but it is very pleasant out here right now. Rebecca, are you still there? There she is, just checking. Don't want to waffle on too much, eat into your day. I know many of you probably have got jobs to go and do. Wildebeest. There's a wildebeest over there. It's going off into the night. Now, just in case you're wondering why we don't stop and shine on a wildebeest, perhaps you're a new viewer, we don't shine the light if we can avoid it on a diurnal animal. So an animal active in the day, it just tends to freak them out a bit more. Obviously, it makes them slightly night blind if you shine a light on them. And while that's okay if you're a predator, if you're going to walk around at night and you're going to blink once or twice and be okay, if you're looking out for something that might try and eat you, it's a little bit more unfair. There are wildebeest both sides of the road. There we go. I think we've got past them. Yeah, there he is. Yeah. Ah, nice. So we're not very far from home, everyone, where I'm sure another delicious meal cooked by the new chef Amanda will be. So we'll stop here and say a big thank you to all of you for your questions and comments today. I had a wonderful time on Arethusa. Did you, Jean-Andre?
Quite so.
Of course you did. You were with me. And thank you very much for all of the songs that you listened to. We are sorry about those. A big thanks, of course, on the other vehicle to Sam and Brian. Sam, the Waterhole Chevalier, and Brian, and of course Rebecca and Jerry in the final control. We will see you tomorrow as the dawn breaks at 0600. Keep safe and happy wherever you are. Bye-bye.